We're going to unleash the power of purpose-inspired marketing and messaging to bridge the cultural divide. We're going to unleash the power of purpose-inspired marketing to be a force for good in this country.
This is Velocitize Talks, and I'm Eric Jones. I'm here with Roy Spence, the co-founder and chairman of GSD&M, also the co-founder and CEO of the Purpose Institute. You just launched the Promiseland Project yesterday. Congratulations on that.
Thanks,
it's
Eric.
wonderful to have you here
Well,
today.
it's great to be with you, and it's really wonderful too, so thank you, sir.
You had a great quote that resonated for me. You said, if you simply market the category, you're going to get crushed.
Yeah.
Brands need to ladder up to something a lot more authentic. Tell us about how you did that for some of your more iconic campaigns.
Well, it's really a great question because we didn't know any of this. We just got lucky, and we built our advertising firm in Austin, Texas. Now, back then, I'd say Austin, they'd go, "You don't sound like you're from Boston." We don't have to say that anymore. But one of the things, Eric, that we learned when we were building the company from scratch, because we didn't know anything about advertising, none of us had any, one of my partners, but we sort of started thinking about we're actually in the business to build our clients' business. And we learned that lesson because we had all these small little retail, and if we didn't build their business, they didn't pay us. So we kept thinking, well, it really helps when you run ads and they work, is a thought. Mm-hmm. And our big breakthrough was Southwest Airlines. I was 28 years old, and Herb Kelleher called me up. I didn't know who he was. And he said, "I've been reading about you, can you come see me?" Well, Southwest Airlines was built differently as an airline. When Southwest started, only 15% of the American people had flown because it was regulated. It was for the rich. And he went out to say, "I want everybody to be able to fly." And so we did this work, and finally one day I looked at Herb and I said, "I don't think you're in the airline business." Of course, he smoked. "Really? What are you talking about?" And I said, "I think you're in the freedom business." And he looked at me and he said, "Well, talk to me. You're out there on a mission to democratize the skies. And it wants to be affordable for the average person to fly, not just the rich. And you want to help small businesses fly. And you want to help entrepreneurs. I think you're in the freedom business." And he went, "Oh my gosh." And that was the first time, Eric, when I realized we laddered up from airline to freedom. Sam Walton, the same thing when Walmart was starting. And I was talking to a friend this morning. People forget that before Walmart, only rich people had TVs. Mm-hmm. Honestly. And he went out to democratize merchandise. So I used to say to Sam when he was alive, rest his soul, he was unbelievable, that you're not in the discount store business. You're in the business to help people have the good life for less.
I was kind of curious, you've counseled all sorts of brands, presidents. You have tremendous experience. What are some of the lessons that, we would do well to remember that we may have, forgotten more recently? What stands out to you?
Yeah, it's a great question, Eric. I've been working on this Promiseland Project for a long time, about the last 12 months, and I got inspired. I was climbing Mount Sopris right outside of Carbondale, and I was by myself in snowshoes, and I was remembering the movie that I saw the night before, Apollo 13, and Tom Hanks saying, "Houston, we have a problem." And I literally stopped in my tracks to look around and make sure nobody was around, and I said it pretty loud, "America, we've got a problem." Americans aren't the problem. The problem is the political winds and the political forces on all sides are waging a cultural war in this country. A cultural war of us versus them all the time in this great land. So I thought at that moment in time, I'm going to start something called the Promiseland Project. And basically we are getting marketing people from around the country who are purpose-based. They have day jobs, but they want to use their talent to bring America together. So our goal basically is we're taking America as a client, pro bono, and we're going to market the best of America to America. Some of the things that we have forgotten One thing is we've forgotten we need to walk in each other's shoes again in America. When we were born differently, not better, America was born different. And it basically was born with this ideal, and again, not perfect, made a lot of mistakes, but it didn't matter where you came from or what class you were in the old society, or what your dad's name or whatever. If you were willing to come here, dream big, work hard, take responsibility. In America, if you can dream it, you can build it. And we're not being able to live up to that potential because of this cultural war. So our goal is to bridge that gap, that cultural gap. And our purpose is real clear. We're going to unleash the power of purpose-inspired marketing and messaging to bridge the cultural divide. We're going to unleash the power of purpose-inspired marketing to be a force for good in this country. We're going to unleash the power of purpose-inspired marketing so Americans can find common ground on higher ground. One other thing we've forgotten. We have this myth in the country that a 4-year college path is the only path to success. We pick winners and losers in the 9th grade. Oh, you're college material. Oh, you're not. That's not America. America, when we're at our best, is no one's too good and everybody's good enough. There are thousands, literally hundreds of thousands of jobs out there. Welders, all kinds of jobs that are not being fulfilled because if you don't go to college, you're some kind of loser. We're going to use marketing to stop that myth. Everyone should have the chance in this country, if they're willing to work hard and take responsibility, to live up to their God-given potential. Everybody should have a chance, stay with me, to make a living and a life doing what you love to do. And we got to respect the dignity of all work again, and we're on a mission to kill that myth that you only need a 4-year college path is the only path to success. It's not true.
Another great Texan was on a panel the other day, Dan Rather. He framed it very interestingly, I thought. He said, Americans have always had a healthy skepticism, and we are unfortunately sliding into a cynicism. Wow. In this country, and it's alarming to him. At the grassroots level, as you think about Promiseland, as you think about purpose, how do Americans get more involved?
Good question. A couple of things that I've thought through, and so has our team, is that first of all, it's time for a new generation of American leaders to get in the arena and become public servants driven by purpose instead of politicians driven by power. Part of this cynicism is we have a lot of really old-style politicians out there that are in it for purpose, for power and all this stuff. We got to get a new generation. And by the way, the millennial generation gets maligned. They have more desire for purpose in their life than intergenerations. So we need to get the young people of America. John Kennedy was president at 41 years old. Teddy Roosevelt at 39 years old. Bill Clinton at 42. So we need to get the whole new generation to be purpose-inspired and not politically driven. Promiseland Project is on a mission to do that. Secondly, we have to, as Americans, realize that compromise and consensus and collaboration are not signs of weakness. We were built as a nation on compromise and collaboration and all these kinds of things. We're not going to always get our way. Our first motto of the United States of America was out of many one, e pluribus unum. We forgot that lesson. God made us all different. It's the only thing that unites us, that we're different. We're different. So we've got to get back in the arena and we got to start winning on purpose instead of politics. And I think the country is hungry to find common ground on key issues so it'll take us to higher ground. I'm confident, by the way.
Yeah, we are polarized. We are divided. And I think brands are struggling with that,
They
right? They're unsure of how to wade into some of these issues.
Yeah.
And yet sometimes when they do, it's very successful, like what Dick's just recently did.
Yep.
What are some frameworks that you've used historically to help brands, think about that?
It's a great question again, because the key value that a brand has to have, because when Al Gore and I invented the internet, that's a joke, we didn't know that everybody was going to know everything about everybody. Brand's biggest mistake is to be non-transparent. You got to be transparent, and you got to be authentic. You need to also know that if you jump into the political arena, that's different than the social cause arena. So you got to be careful that when you jump into something. But I think if brands believe in things, if they, and there's a thing that I'm a member of that I was helped start, Conscious Capitalism, Whole Foods, Trader Joe's, all these organizations that actually believe. The old model was the following: you go out and start a business and get rich, and then pick a charity. And I'm not talking bad about it. The new model is every day you need to improve somebody's life in business. You start with the stakeholder model. You start with a purpose beyond making money. First of all, you can start with your employees and colleagues. How are you treating them? How are you treating your vendor partners? How are you treating your community and the environment? All of these things, all these stakeholders, and by the way, the last stakeholder is your stockholder. If you do all the other stakeholders right, your stockholders will benefit. So I advise companies to first of all find their purpose, and don't have it so long that you have to pull out your business card. Oh yeah, we just worked with a company, Lowe's Home Improvement, and their purpose came from a cashier. And the CEO was walking down and, hey, what's the purpose of Lowe's? And she said, oh, you don't really want to know. He was a cashier. And he said, no, I'm really struggling. He said, well, the purpose of Lowe's is to help people love where they live.
It's wonderful.
He said, what? Our purpose every day is not to sell sheetrock or piping or washing machines. I think our purpose is to help people love where they live. And now it's everywhere at every store. You start with purpose. Then you start, if you're going to get in the arena, know the difference between politics and social causes. If you get in the political arena, you start being a political brand. And that means 50% of America will hate you. That's not a good strategy. If you do the right thing with your employees and with everything else, and then you get into the arena that you believe in, you're going to have people who disagree with you. Don't become a political brand. Be a purpose brand, and it's different.
Roy Spence, everybody, best of luck with the Promiseland Project.
God bless you guys. I appreciate y'all.
Thank you.
Okay, buddy. Thanks, Eric.